Hi, today I'm joined by Savannah Doss, a Blue Belt certified Gracie CTC instructor, a SafeRap certified self defense coach who's passionate about bringing women to the combat space. An ego nerd and a creative content creator, Savannah blends education, empowerment, and authenticity both on and off the mats, proving that confidence, just like jujitsu, grows with practice. Thank you so much for being here, Savannah.
Thank you for having me.
So I've been following you for a little bit now. You put out a lot of really good content. But I guess just to start out, how did it all begin for you in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It started around the time I was going to college, so I was very athletic. I did all kinds of sports in high school and stuff like that. And then I went to college, didn't do any sports, and it was COVID. So I was still kind of it was in that weird transition area. And there was a jiu-jitsu gym like right down the street from my parents' house. And I could go there. And I didn't want to get hit or kicked in the face, but I loved MMA. I was like, this is really cool. I kind of want to see where that goes. And I walked into the first gym and it was perfect. So I've been training there for like a year and a half, and then I started working there shortly after. And then March will be like 5 years I've been training there um the entire time. So
Wow, that's wild. What was it like on your very first day, like walking in there?
Um, there were no other women in there just yet. It was still pretty small. I think the classes were like maybe 6 people if I was lucky. Um, but it was small, it was good, and I was just excited to learn stuff. So I was just ready to be in there and just kind of move around and do something new.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there any kind of like barriers or obstacles when you first started, other than there not being like a women's presence there?
Yeah. No, not really, not for me, because I had grown up and I'd played football. So I was on, the football teams, and so I've been around a lot of guys in male-dominated spaces. So for me, that was not necessarily a hurdle for me to join right in and try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And how like has it grown like you've got a few women at your club now and like that's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely pride myself on help building out the women's program, and providing other women's classes for our gym, and helping like kind of hold their hand and transition to the other classes, because I get it, and there's a lot of hurdles for a lot of women. So if whatever I can do to make that transition easier for them, that's what I'm here for.
okay. And how I guess how did you guys kind of build out kind of what does women's programming look like for you guys at your club?
Yeah, yeah. So, we have a certified Gracie training center. So our fundamentals classes is a little bit different than maybe the average jiu-jitsu club, because our foundations class is going to be self-defense based first, and then it's going to you test into the master cycle class, which is our like sport jiu-jitsu class. We have a women empowered class, which is if you think about it, it's kind of like first for women. If you've never done any sports or any combat, like nothing, that's a
Okay.
very good first step. And then normally women will go from the Women Empowered program to our combatives class, and then from there, onto Master Cycle. So,
Okay.
but in recent years, actually this year, I helped create a We Lab. And so it was kind of like an in-between space for the women's program and then the combatives program. Because what I would see is women would complete the course and then think they know all jujitsu, and then kind of leave. Or, whatever it may be, like that was their marker of like, okay, like I've completed something, and then they move on. I'm like, no, like stay, there's so much jujitsu, you know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, how do we keep women on the mats, So I made this class to help for that in between stage, and you just need like 3 stripes, whether it's like two from going to your pink belt, or the combatives class stripes. You need 3 stripes. And there I show different things for like the combatives curriculum. or sometimes like a master cycle slice, like just a sports slice, just something that they already are familiar with. So it's not super like abstract, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so we've been doing that the last year. We've been doing that since January, and it's definitely helped keep some women on the mats, which I'm super proud of. Um, so yeah.
That's really cool. So can you tell me a little bit about, because it sounds very different. Like I think about little St. John, New Brunswick, where I'm at, where I, got into a women's program and then eventually gravitated toward the co-ed, but I just like the traditional kind of like belt, like your white, blue. I hear like I see the pink thing and I'm like, oh, what is that? So can you give me a little bit of a breakdown of how that works?
Yeah, I'll try my best. So our women empowered class, that's our pink belt, right?
Okay.
And so in that class there are um I believe 23 techniques. I'm not certified in that one just yet. I'm trying to go for that my certification in July. Our combatives curriculum has 36 techniques and divided into 23 lessons. So each classes normally have like a standing portion and then a ground portion, and then it just continues in a repeat. And then so yeah, the pink belt for women empowered, and then you go to the combatives class, and that's like a white belt with like a blue, it looks like a blue stripe in the middle. And
Okay.
then from there you start moving towards the sport jujitsu because a lot of people will walk in and they no one ever says, I want to be the number one jujitsu champion in the world, right? Like a lot of people don't even know what jujitsu is, but they walk in the door thinking, I want to learn how to defend myself. That's usually the most common thought process. And although we have paths for both of those, it's more common for the self-defense thought first. And so that's what we cater towards. Um, but now we have a lot of people in our master, like our sport jujitsu side. And so I think that's so awesome. And we've had more women come through and get promoted. So for a while there, it was just me in the room with like a bunch of sweaty guys and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, like what do I gotta do to get some other women in here? So that was one of my goals is to help build that out and make it feel more comfortable for other women to progress in that way too.
That's cool. So you being involved in this and then this We Lab stuff, which because I, can see your kind of reels and stuff. Can you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, yeah. So again, transitioning from the women empowered to combatives and maybe like further down the line, what I would see is at first it's a little bit more cooperative in the drills, like um, for any beginner, right? Like it's really hard to just go full 100% force right from the beginning.
Hmm.
But I could see women were being almost too cooperative with each other. And so this is like a space to test, bad guy energy first and get more comfortable with that, but also showing them, hey, there's more jujitsu than just these lessons in the curriculum. So that was my hope to, if I keep showing them like what else is out there, they will be interested and want to keep coming back.
Can you give
Yeah.
some examples of like some of the moves or things that you would work at when they first walked in, like from like the self-defense kind of portion of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I would try to do like one standing move, and then it depends. So I've been really into the ecological approach, so we've been doing some games for that. And so it would start off with a standing portion, maybe like I don't know if you're familiar with some of them, but like a body fold takedown, leg hook takedown, double legs, something basic like that. That feeds right into our combatives curriculum that they'll see. And then from there we'll go to the ground and we'll do a couple different games. Maybe like something as simple as okay, one person's on mount and their job is to stay in mount as long as they can. They're not trying to submit, they're just trying to stay in mount. And the bottom person, their job is to regard. And
Okay.
so they know a lot of like elbow escapes, they know trap and rolls and stuff like that. So, um, something super small and basic that they can kind of start putting skills together, like a reflex development almost because they would know single moves. But when I'd see them kind of come together, I saw it was a little, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't as smooth of a process. And then they would get I could see like some frustrations where they would get a little mad that it wasn't 100% perfect, but I was like,
Right.
yo, look, like you had 100% conviction and maybe the technique itself was 70%. I was like, but you did it, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the most important part. And so they're like, "Oh, okay." So just kind of helping them shift and see like almost a bigger picture than, oh, I have to do this move 100% correct, you know?
Yeah.
Because what does that look like? Even in the context of grappling, like not every move is going to be beautiful, but
Hmm.
is it functional, right? Like that's what I tell them, right? I was like, okay, maybe it wasn't pretty, but it was functional and it met the needs of
Right.
what you were trying to do, right? So,
That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, totally fair. I've had so many roles where it's just like clunky and struggling to get to where you want to go. But now with the ecological approach, like when did you start kind of diving into that and like
Yeah,
integrating that
yeah.
with in the women's programming?
Yeah. For the women's program, I think I started that around January. But I'd been studying this for actually October marks a year of me doing everything like studying, reading the literature, researching, watching videos, actually putting in the applied knowledge. That part's hard, right? Like actually labbing it out. So my regular class, I call that lab. Um, and that was for our sport class. So and then I took lab and I was like, okay, kind of want to make like a women's only thing. So we called that one We Lab.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, I've definitely been diving deep into that whole process and it's so interesting. And I started like kind of go on a tangent,
No,
but
no.
okay. So it started out with I had an opportunity like last year like at this exact time, I went to my head coach and who's now the owner of the school, and I was like, "Hey, look, like if you were me, like what would you be doing?" He's like, "I'd be getting really good at jujitsu, and I would start teaching. Like I would do privates." And I was like, "Okay." So I had the opportunity to teach privates for what I knew because I had already passed the women empowered curriculum. I'd already passed the combatives curriculum and I was studying more sport jujitsu, right? And I had opportunities to teach. And so at first, because obviously I wasn't certified in anything, like I didn't know anything, I was just like, hey guys, like, extra free class Friday night, come if you want to. But I was a blue belt, right? And so I kind of gave it out to other blue belts and then, some white belts and stuff just to see what was going on. And with we have curriculum for the Gracie University. We have blue belt material. And so for a couple of weeks I was teaching moves like that. And then I was like, yo, what? Like, I don't know any of this stuff. Like, here I am teaching
Oh,
it, and I was like, it didn't feel authentic, right? So I was
okay.
like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to do this that one I can learn alongside teaching. Because I was still in my last semester of college, and so I didn't have as much open time to train as I wanted to. I was trying to, but man, I was not gonna do like early mornings. I was not gonna do 6:30. I did it a couple times and I was like, oh, this is not for me. This is not for me right now. Um, but yeah, so I was like, okay, there has to be a more efficient way that one, I could, teach someone else something, but also train at the same time. And so then that's when I started looking. And it was funny because the first class that I had done that with were like two older gentlemen. Like, and I knew I was like, okay, this is going to be a really good test because if they can get it, if they can understand what's going on here, then I have something. And so it took a little bit. It took a few minutes for them to kind of understand what are these games? Like, what are we talking about here? You want me to do what? And so, but after the first day, I was like, okay, like that was not bad. I was like, I can work on this. Like I can go back, rework it, reword everything, and I can train too, because it doesn't take that long to explain the games. It might take like 2 minutes. But then like you have 6 to 8 minutes, however long you want to run the games for of actual training.
Okay.
Um, so I was like, okay, I like this. I like this a lot better. And I felt like I was getting more out of it too, right? Um, and it felt more authentic to do it that way because I was like, yo, I don't know anything. Like, I can't believe I have this opportunity to like teach someone. But I was like, I didn't feel ready to teach anything because I was like, I don't know anything. And so I would use these lab times and I would set it up so we'd have reflection time a few minutes after each kind of game. And I was like, hey, what worked for you? What did not work for you? And
Okay.
so they would tell me, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about that too. And I'm like taking notes. Um, but yeah, so we've been doing that for a whole year now, and we've had really, really good success with that at our gym. And you can even see the skill disparity between the guys who come to lab class versus the guys who don't. And
Uh,
it's really interesting. And then even like basically white belts will come, we call them combatives belts, but they're essentially white belts and they're closing the gap on guys who are blue belts who just do the regular techniques, for master cycle classes. So that has been so good. And especially for me, like it's definitely deepened my knowledge of jujitsu and widen it. Sometimes when I go to other gyms, not to like trash talk, but it seems like their jujitsu knowledge is like so wide, but it's not very deep.
right.
Um, and so for me, I love learning. I love it so much. And so that's why I love jujitsu because there's always something to work on. There's always something to learn. So I'm such a nerd. Like I'll sit there and I'll think about it. There's always something to like connect the dots to, right? So, but that's what I felt like I got way more out of this approach, especially because the way I learn, I have to learn like kinesthetically almost. And so that was perfect, right? There's no one solution to the problem. It was just like we give you point A and you get point B, and it's your job to figure out how to go from there to there.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I've been very curious about it because obviously I have more of a traditional background. I would, between kids and work and my other projects, I would love to train many times a week, but that doesn't happen for me. So, but I've been on the traditional setting of like you go to class, you have your techniques that and sometimes my brain, and this is just a personal thing because my club is wonderful, is like I'm having a hard time connecting the dots to things.
Yeah.
But hearing all this kind of like eco movement, it seems kind of cool because I think about kids too in play and like you know what I mean? Like, and they're still achieving these goals. Now, with regards to supports, while you've been trying to convert like the Gracie kind of university, kind of like curriculum, have you had lots of support helping you tie in these games to kind of get these outcomes from the curriculum?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I've had support and more questions at first than anything else. It's like, hey, like, what is this? And I will definitely say with this learning approach, 99% of the times you have to show somebody like what it is. It's really hard to describe it
Yeah.
because you kind of start talking like science jargon and you're like, what does that mean, right? But then you show them, you do the games, you play it out, and you're like, oh man, like I like this. Um, so a lot of questions at first, but like my black belt Bernardo, who's also the owner. At first it was kind of like, yes, man, I'm like, sure, you can teach the hour, where no one wants to go. Um, and then he was out doing other things, like he would do GSTs and basically like teach police officers and go around doing all that stuff. And then he'd come back like 4 to 6 weeks later, and I was like, Bernardo, can you come and just watch and like kind of critique me and see like what you think about everything? And so he's like, yeah, sure. So he came and then I made him play the games and he's like, yo, like this was fun. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like this is good. This is good feedback. And I was like, if my black belt can find value in the games that I'm like creating, I was like, okay, I'm on to something. You know what I mean? So full support from them. And even now, I have a couple other friends at different gyms at different CTCs. Just like the one in Orlando, my friend James, who owns it down there, we've been talking about We Lab and Lab and Eco and everything like that. So it's been very cool to see like the support, because it just comes from a place of like curiosity. Uh, at least at least in my experience when I've been talking about it and sharing it with everyone else who will listen to me. But
I love it.
yeah,
But I think that's also really cool because, you hear about jujitsu and most people right off like talk about the community. Like I know that's what pulled me into it actually. Because my husband's been in it for about 12 years now and we run a grappling tournament company with another couple. And every time I go to these tournaments, it was just like I was blown away by the community. And so I appreciate like it's cool to hear like your friends and other club owners because do you have quite a few clubs like close by to you, like in your
we
area?
have two sister schools. So we have one in my gym is in Virginia Beach. I have one in Chesapeake and I have one in Norfolk.
Okay.
Um, with the Gracies, I think you can only have one within like 5 or 10 miles of each other, just so
Okay.
it's not like direct competition with each other kind of thing.
Right. Do you have
Um,
other clubs like outside of the Gracie kind of like do you know what I mean?
yeah, so so my gym is a franchise of the Gracie University.
Right.
So I will say the CTCs are pretty tight knit. Like they're pretty close and everything that I hear, because I'm an operator for my gym, like I do pretty much everything. I'm an instructor, admin, anyways. So everyone's always helping each other in that community. So it's super, super close there. But
That's all.
as far as other affiliates, for a gym, no.
No, okay. And
Yeah.
it's going to be different everywhere, is obviously. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool though. So you get a lot of your partner, like, you're kind of like family clubs that you guys are all kind of collaborating.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super awesome. That's really cool. And it's nice to see that you're also seeing the benefits across the board. And I think it's really brave that you are just like, there's a need here and I'm definitely going to try something new. And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Where do you see it growing from here? Like now that it's a year in, like what kind of goals do you have for yourself?
That's a good question. I have so many goals. I have so many things I want to take this with. Definitely keep introducing the ecological approach to other CTCs and continue sharing like how good this process is and how effective it really is, to other places, because I know those owners sometimes they have day jobs, right? And so maybe they're not as focused on their own personal jujitsu skills. They're trying to run the business, right? And also, they're adults. They have many other things that they have to worry about, kids. But kind of showing them like, hey, look, like this is a very effective way. And it can just be for you as the owner or the instructors, but this is definitely going to help widen and deepen your knowledge of jujitsu so that you can give it to your students, right? Because at a certain point, if especially if you're not a black belt at your own gym, if you don't keep pursuing jujitsu knowledge, you kind of bottleneck the growth of your own gym. And so there's definitely a need for that for at least the other CTCs, because not everyone is a black belt. It can be run by blue belts and above. So just trying to help other people out, because I love to nerd out about this, and anyone who will listen, I'll talk your ear off about it. Um but I love, kind of trading that. And then in terms of personal growth, like I I actually went to a Greg Souter seminar last Saturday. So that's the guy who's pioneering this whole approach. He's the man. He's awesome. And he sat with me and answered all my questions, by the way. So I love him for that because I'm a question girl. I have millions of questions. And he sat and answered all of them. So but one good piece of advice that he gave me was to separate like my coaching and instructing versus my athlete side. Now I don't really have any aspirations to compete, but I love learning. Like I love doing what I do. So I want to do as much jujitsu and be good, right? Like I feel like
Mhm.
if I can train with competitors, right alongside of them and kind of hold my own, I was like, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Um, so he said to separate that time, and so I think I want to do that. I want to be more intentful about that and cross train at other places too. Like I know sometimes people will say, not to do that like every once in a while. It's more old school where it's like, no, don't cross train. But I
Mhm.
feel like that only benefits everyone when you do, right? Because when you do go cross train, you bring back new information for your own gym
Mhm.
and to play with and to work it out. And then obviously when you go to the gym, a different gym, they're benefiting from you coming to them, right? So I think it's a win-win for everyone. But more training time for me in general and focusing on being an athlete. And then another one I would like to have is like just kind of bring more women in, but it's a slower process, which I don't mind, but just in general, just kind of showing them like, hey, it can be fun. It can be serious, but also like more fun too, right? And so I'm one of those girls who's like, whenever I'm rolling, I am laughing because I love the process so much, um, that I have fun with like every single aspect of it. So, just kind of showing like, hey, it's not that scary. It can feel like that, but
Mhm.
also there's this other side. So that's what I think. Those are some of my goals.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I do think that with women, I don't know if you're finding like why they're kind of petering out between like I know you're trying to capture like in between before they get into is it the combative part? Is that what?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you finding some of the do they give reasons or they just kind of like ghost out or are they just like
Yeah. So I think one thing with that is that because it's a set curriculum, um, and there's like a set, once you get your belt, it's like you've completed the course, right?
uh
And so, but everyone who trains jujitsu knows you don't ever complete jujitsu, right?
right.
And so I have seen that downside of a curriculum-based program like that is when people get their goal of the belt, they're done.
Okay.
And so, I mean, other gyms have seen that too, right? Like there's always those memes about the blue belt. Once they get to their blue belt, then they kind of dip, right? But those skills are diminishing, right? You have to keep sharpening your blade, um, so that you can stay ready. And I get it, like when women are busy, right? Like all of my women are like moms, right? And they have jobs and they have extracurriculars. Like I get it, you know what I mean? Um, but I had a feeling I was like, yo, if I kind of presented some other jujitsu moves, other like new concepts, I think I could keep them longer because it's something new, right? You just kind of get locked into a system with a course almost because you see the end or you
Hmm.
think you see the end, right?
Right.
You're like, this is it. But so that's what I've been seeing is they get the belt and then they're like, ah, I know
Done.
jujitsu, I'm done.
Oh God.
And so they'll get the belt and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm just gonna do XYZ. And I go, "Ah, I've heard that before. I've heard it
Uh,
before." And then, sometimes maybe they do come back. Like our gym is always open. Our gym is always open and it's always gonna be here for our members. And so that's just life, right? Like just kind of going with the flow of things. But I was like, oh, I don't want to see you leave, girl. Like, please, like, stay. There's so much to offer students that they don't quite see yet. So I was like, oh, I have to show them. I have to show them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally fair. Do you guys have like group chats or like Facebook Messenger groups and like try to kind of keep on like, hey, where are you at? We miss you, like that kind of thing to like
Yeah, yeah,
reel
for
it back
sure.
in.
I have one on Instagram, and then we have like a text one. Every so often we'll go out together and do something. I'll say I've have been a little bad about that. I haven't gone to, the one before, but um I think I love that women bring community, and I think that's so important for gyms
Hmm.
in general, especially if you want to grow, right? Like women are the backbone, right, of the communities, right? So they're gonna bring their kids, they're gonna bring their friends. If women like something, they're going to talk about it.
Oh my God,
So
yes.
I was telling I tell my friends all the time, I'm like, yo, jujitsu is like a club. Like you fill it with women, and then the men will eventually come. But the women are gonna bring so much more growth, right? Like they're gonna bring their kids, they're gonna bring friends.
Yes.
Women love stuff, they're gonna share it.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm always trying to bring people into it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I want it to feel like a third place for people. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but um, so people have their home and then their work. So that's one and two. But then a third place is like somewhere to hang out and have community, right? And
Yeah,
so I'm like, guys, make this house a home. Like, come on, girls. And so that's what it really does feel like when I'm with my girls at the gym and like we're just talking and whether it's about jujitsu or whatever, that's what it feels like to me, right?
that's amazing. I love that because I've traveled to a few clubs. I haven't gone to many, but the ones that I noticed that huge women's presence, um, and they do stuff just like whether it's like fun events that are maybe non-jujitsu related at the club or extracurricular things, they're like family. I like the community, like a true family. And I just like have such like I just feel it warms my heart. I have so much for to see these types of clubs and like growing stuff like that. So, and they're so successful. I see that. Like there's one in New Brunswick. It's a female black belt that co-runs a gym and like a massive female presence. And they were always doing all these extracurricular stuff outside from the roles, and it was so successful because they just were like family.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so that's awesome. Well, I'm hopeful and just like I'll be cheering you on.
Thanks. Yeah, appreciate it.
Do you guys have kids programming there too, where you're at?
Oh yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
definitely do. So, they're called Little Champs, so it's like the 5 to 7 year olds, and
love it.
then there's like the 8 to about 13-ish year olds. It's usually like that in between phase for kids where it's like, okay, you're a little old, but you fit more in the kids class, so it's 13-ish.
Okay.
And then from there on you have the adults, but I actually started doing the like a morning class for the homeschool kids in my area, and I love it. Like I will say is one of my favorite classes, is specifically like the 3 to 5 year olds. Oh man, I love it so much, so much. And I didn't think, like, everyone is like, oh, like that's a lot. Like I was like, okay, whatever. Like, what do I know? I don't know anything. I'll try it out. And so I tried it out, but man, like I love it. And it's so interesting because especially doing the ecological approach, one of the things I noticed is the language you use really matters. So when instead of calling something side mount, like what I'll say is get chest to chest with both legs on one side. So that way, someone who's never heard of side mount, like who
Mhm.
has no, like, what is jujitsu? Like, how are you going to talk about jujitsu without, using jujitsu terms? Um, my 3 year olds understand it. They understand it perfectly. And so we have this one move, we call it crocodile control, but it's just side mount, right?
Love it.
And so And so I was like, guys, we have to get chest to chest and we have to hold the head with one arm and hold their arm with the other arm. And so I was like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, get chest to chest. And I was like, what are you gonna do with your arm? He's like, grab the head. And I was like, perfect. So, dude, it's the best. And I really do. I love being super playful. Like I didn't realize like how playful I am until I get around other kids. And it just fosters that like fun environment. So I love doing the animal warm-ups. And then for that group specifically, we have tons of run breaks. Because if you talk too long,
Oh
you've
yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
So we have run breaks and it's really funny because I'll make them do like animal sounds as they're running. So that to me is really funny and the moms laugh too. They laugh. But yeah, I'll try to keep the jujitsu and the talking like as close to a minimum as I can. But everyone loves sharks there. We're a big shark fan group there. I've come to find out. Um, so lots of shark facts. We just were talking about what we were gonna be for Halloween, so that was really fun. And then I asked them what they thought I should be for Halloween, and they didn't really care that much, but that's okay. Um, when I we talk about like every 2 months in my regular kids classes, we do this thing called game day. And usually every like so often you have a new word. So like manners, citizenship, respect, all those good things. And we have it with our regular kids. And so then we play game day every 2 months. It's like 2 hours of just like fun games. And it's like a homework assignment. They turn it in then they come play 2 hours of games with us, like dodgeball, four
Nice.
corners, stuff like that. But I was been practicing that with my little guys because, it helps to start really young. So I gave them homework assignments of holding the door open for their mom. And I was
Oh.
like, all right, guys, like I'm gonna check next time. I'm gonna ask your moms. And so they did. They're like, yeah, Miss Savannah, I did. I held open the door. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And then this past week the homework assignment was saying yes ma'am, no ma'am to your moms, and then yes sir, no sir to your dads. And I don't give them a hard time because they're 3. I was like, it's okay if you didn't, but just be honest. One
Yeah.
kid's like, I said it to my mom, but not my dad. And I was like, okay, good starting point, you know what I mean? So, and then every once in a while, because they're 3 and 4, I don't expect them to, sit still or anything like that or listen that well. But I've been trying to do something where I'm like, hey, like I listen to you when you speak, right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so don't you think it's fair that you listen to me when I speak? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're getting somewhere. And then I told them I was like, if you guys call me ma'am, I'll call you guys sirs because I have all my 3 to 5 year olds are boys right now.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was like, I'll call you guys sir. And I was like, sound good? And they're like, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you. So it's really fun. It's really fun to like teach those kids in that age group.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
found.
I love it. I think that's important too, because that really builds the expectation they feel they're learning something, they're a part of something bigger than them, which I think
Yeah.
is super good. Hopefully you'll get some like girls in there too, because that just like changes up the dynamic totally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean like so that's my 9 a.m. class and then my 10 a.m. class is like the 6 to 8 year olds and I have some girls in there and they're good. The girls, I'll say, in general, they are more dialed in. They're more focused, and they're like ready for jujitsu.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, you guys gotta be careful. I mean, like they're gonna get you. Like if you guys are not paying attention, I mean, she's gonna double leg you at any minute. So,
It's crazy. Well, I know just with like we've with my business Rogue Grappling, we've had tournaments for the past 7 years and we have kids divisions and then adult divisions. And some of these kids that have been really, really little getting into kind of like preteens or preteens into adult, like the women are like the girls are just savages. And it's
um,
awesome to see and like the confidence. And even my son, he's in jujitsu and there's another little girl about his age and she will just like take him down, choke him out. Like she really knows her stuff. And so he's just like, I don't know what just happened to me.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
it Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're enjoying this, like the kids programming too. That's like because you get to see them. Like, how long have you been doing it for? About a year with the kids programming?
I mean, I've been helping out with the kids program since I like slid in to start working, so almost 4 years.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but the little guys, that was brand new. So that started in September. So
Okay.
very short.
That's
But I like
period.
it. It's very fun.
It'll be cool once you start like really seeing all like them as they start moving through and going, oh my gosh, like
No,
seeing the progression and
I'm here for it.
so was the crocodile move, is that your favorite eco game with the kids?
Um, with the kids, I don't know. Every once in a while, I just oh, you know what's a fun game to watch? I'll have them start with a single leg. So I'll have them start with their partner's like ankle, and I'll say, "Okay, the attacking person is the one holding the ankle." I said, "Your job is to make the defending person's hips touch the floor." And if they don't
Okay.
get hips, if they're like 3 or 5, or I'm like, just make their butt touch the floor. And they're like,
Hmm.
okay. Um, I don't necessarily do that for the 3-year-olds, but like my 6 to 8-year-olds, they get it. They're a little bit more there, and I can trust that they're going to like be okay with each other. And they have more fun with that stuff anyways. The three year
Okay.
olds, they just kind of want to run around. But uh yeah, so standing games are fun to watch, and they're more on task with that one. When you kind of start going to mount and some of the other ones, they're more playful, they're just kind of talking to each other. But the
Yeah.
standing games, those are fun for the kids for sure. For sure. Yeah.
So do you incorporate like some judo and stuff into that style, or does that come in with your kind of your curriculum? Because I know we do some stand up, but obviously it's mostly to the ground. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so especially for the standing games, like for the I don't care how you get the person down. You
Okay.
just get them down. Unless I have like specific constraints where I'm like no falling body weight, or like sacrificial throws, like self-sacrificial throws. I don't care how you get them down.
Okay.
Just get them down, get their hips to touch.
Okay.
And so it's fun to see how everyone solves that problem. And yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay. And what's your favorite ecological game with the adults?
That's hard.
Or do you have
It
any of
really,
your students that are like, let's do this again? Are we really like,
man, I try. I ask them all the time for feedback, and I normally just get like, "It was good," and I'm like, "Okay." Uh, it's hard. I think whatever, because I base the games around myself. Like I'm the athlete that I make the games around, and I will kind of go through cycles or like how do I say it? Like positions. And so I'll have games for each kind of position in different ways and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily have one specific like favorite game,
okay,
but yeah, I mean they're all really fun. They're all really fun. And then it's fun doing the same games with a new partner. So that adds to the variation of the games. And so sometimes I'll just keep the same games and then just make people play, choose a different partner. Or I have like completely different demographics. So like Friday night from 8 to 9 p.m., I have one set, but then Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. is a completely new set. Sometimes you have like a guy or two that will cross over and be in that same class, but they choose different partners anyways.
okay.
So,
Well, that's
yeah.
cool. So you don't necessarily always have to say like, okay, switch it up because you got different
Yeah.
people there. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm
Yeah.
really interested. Like I'm kind of excited. At some point I'd like to try like the eco training because I just
Yeah, you have to, man. It's the best. It's the best. I think it's the most efficient way to use like an hour, or not, it does not even have to be a full hour. Like if you have 15 minutes and you want to do 2 games with like a friend, do it. Like it's so good and you get so much out of it. I will highly recommend having like just like 2 minutes or something like that to reflect on like what worked, what did not work
Right.
between the two of you, at least. If it's
Okay.
not like a full class. But you get so much feedback out of that. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. I know like this is I work with at-risk youth and I teach like culinary class and I teach a project-based learning and I had this reflection sheet after every class and it was always like, what's like one thing you learned and what could we do better and like I never got anything on the improvement. It was like blank. It was okay. It was whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I started asking the question like, okay, so if we had to do this again with another group, how can we make it better for them? Well, then the responses started coming in.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think because it wasn't about them, it was like they're able to give their opinion for these other people. And it was like, okay, all right. So maybe try that. Just to be like, okay, for the next new people, what would make it better for them? See what you
Yeah.
get for feedback.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely matters. The language you use with people matters more than like someone would think. And so even when I was playing this game, it was like a week or two ago, but one of the win conditions was that you have to have the hips covered. Okay. Now, when I'm thinking that, I can't remember the exact game, but when I'm thinking that, I'm like hips covered could mean you're in back mount and you have, your hooks in or like a triangle going across the hips or in mount, right? Like that covers the hips. Like those are just some examples. But the guys, they were like, I can't, they had one solution for the problem. And I was like,
Oh,
why are you guys doing it like just like that? He said, I don't know, but when I saw you doing it, you did it in like three or four different ways. And I was like, yeah, because it doesn't have to look like that. I was like, what is the disconnect? Like, they were like, oh, well, when you said hips, this is what I thought. And I was like, okay, so what if we changed it to hip line? And they're like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. I don't know
okay.
why this one time, like, hips did not resonate with them because I've used that same language for however long, like months. But I guess it was just an early morning and it was not there for them.
Were they
But
thinking like they only had to be in mount or they had to like,
I don't know. They showed me one of the guys showed me like a weird way to cover the hips. And he I don't know. It was like he was hunched on he was in back mount. He didn't have hooks in, but he just had his knees covering the outside of the hips, like kind of like a
oh,
hug or something like that. I don't know
yeah,
if that makes any sense.
yeah,
And
no, it does.
I was like, what? I was like, bro, when have we ever done that? But I realized, I was like, okay, like let's change it up a little bit. And so we switched it to hip line, and they were like, oh, okay. So then we played the same game again, and we had different results, and I was like, okay. So it matters. It totally matters, like what you say to people, and even how you ask a question. Because I had sent out a survey at the beginning of this month to get feedback for lab. I was like, just basic kind of questions like, um is there anything that you would want to do differently? Like stuff like that. For the most part, it was just like, no, everything's good. But I was trying to be as specific as I can and short as possible so that
Yeah,
people had to and wanted to answer it. You
right.
know what I mean? Um, but yeah, pretty much the same things where it's like, no, it's good. That's fine.
You're like, I
But
need feedback. How can I make this better?
yeah, yeah,
Like, you're
yeah,
helping me out. Oh, you'll get there though.
yeah. I mean, I
So,
assume like if something is really bad, someone will say something.
mhm,
So, but no one said anything. And I try to be as observant as I can.
yeah.
Um, and I'm like, okay, like that was actually not very good. But I'll be so upfront with them. I was like, hey guys, like I don't know how this is gonna play out today, but we're just gonna play the games and see how it goes. And we'll play it. And I'm like, "Ooh, if this is really bad, I'm like, ooh, this was terrible, you guys. I did a bad job. And so my community is so good with being like nice with me. They're like,
Mhm.
dude, we'll play whatever. They're always like, we'll play whatever games that you have for us. Like, I don't care. I'll show up. If you tell us to do 2 hours of standing, we'll do 2 hours of standing. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but I would not make you do 2 hours of standing. Um, so they're very kind, and I love how like they roll with the punches with me. So I appreciate that.
I think that's cool. And I also think it's super brave of you to just be vulnerable in that sense of like, hey, we're going to try stuff out. There's no ego involved, right? So there's
Yeah.
people don't have to be scared of like shattering you if something, you're posturing that this is the best way to do it or the only way to do it. So I think that's
Yeah.
super, super important because you can see that with people out there sometimes versus the ones that are just like, yeah, we're just going to go with the flow and oh, that one didn't turn out very well, or this one was awesome. And you just like, the ups and downs of this journey. So I think that have a lot of respect for you, just like probably the amount of work one to plan these lessons and just put yourself out there and do it with them.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's
I
so fun.
appreciate that. Yeah. And like I think you just get so much further when you're more honest with people about that.
Mhm.
And especially because of the perceived value that I have as a blue belt. I know, especially right away, I knew I was gonna have a hard time connecting with someone who had a brown belt or a black belt. Like at the time when I started it, we had a black belt student, and I was like, I don't think he would never come to my class. And I totally understand, doing it the traditional way because I was like, what do I have to offer him that he doesn't already know right now, right? And so that was one of the things that kind of added to this fire of eco games, like because I was like, I can constrain things to make practice valuable for anyone at any level. And so it was really cool because I at one point I went to the master cycle class, and the guys let me teach the class with these games, and that black belt student was like, Savannah, like that was a really fun practice. Like I like that more than what we do in the regular classes. I was like, cool. I was like,
Nice.
good win for me. So it's but I'm very honest. Because I'm like, hey, look, like I don't know anything. We're just gonna see what comes out of this. And you get so far not pretending to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like just be honest. Just be honest. I just can't stand that when people are like, no, I know everything, or I'm like, dude, I don't know anything. Like we're gonna see. I will be like, hey, look, like this is what has been working for me.
Hmm.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be like, this is the way to do something. I'm like, well, I've been doing this for X amount of time, and I found that this works out for me. This is just one solution that I found to that problem, or whatever it may be. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and there's different body shapes and sizes too, right? Because like I have like my coach is quite a very tall and large man. So some stuff we learn, I'm just like I'm tucking it away, but I'm like I don't know if that's going to work for me because I'm 5'2", little person. So I'm going to obviously have to like adapt other ways. So it makes sense. You're like that works for me. You're like my physiology, like my strengths, versus somebody else. So it's important to not just be like this is the way because it's so adaptive.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The coaches are like one of the biggest impacts on a athlete's learning process. And so if the coach, just in general, if the coach is not like a well-rounded athlete or like jujitsu practitioner or something like that, then the students will just become like a lesser version of that bad coach, right? Um, but their jujitsu is based on their body type. And so again, like I'm not going to be able to body triangle, like I can't body triangle any of the guys in my gym. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But they can do it to me. And
Hmm.
so they're like, "Oh, well, I just do this body triangle." And it's like, "Okay, well, what else do you have for me?
Yeah.
Because it's not going to work." Um, but kind of going off on like a little side part there, what I've liked about what's helped me with the eco games and deepening my knowledge is, okay, what are the similarities between like a body triangle and like hooks? Like questions like that have really helped me understand what is really going on. Because I'm trying to control the hip line at that point,
Right.
right? And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe my controlling of the hip line doesn't have to look like, my 6'5" black belt owner, right?
Yeah.
because his is going to look way different than mine, and it's going to look different from yours, and especially on whoever I'm going against, right? So my jujitsu is going to look different based on if I'm going against him or if I'm going against you, right?
Yeah.
And because I might be able to do a body triangle on you, but I'm not going to do a body triangle on my big guys, you know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
just not going to happen.
No, it's
But
totally
what's
fair.
important, yeah, what's important is like finding what is actually going on. I don't know how to put it into words, but the theme. I always tell my guys about the theme. So
Okay.
even in like back mount, you're trying to look for chest to back connection as
Hmm.
long as possible. Um, so that has helped me a lot. Instead of looking at specific individual moves,
Right.
just being like, what's a common theme that it's trying to happen right here? That's helped me.
For sure. No, that's awesome. I know for my coach, like he'll usually if I'm like, oh, I'm not getting this or whatever, he'll be like, okay, we'll try it this way. Like, and then he'll watch me, okay, like you do it with your partner and like let's see where there's an area could adapt that will work for me, which is that's important, I think, in coaches as well, that they're not just like, this is the way, go do it. They actually take the time and they're walking around, they're like, okay, let's talk about this and let's adapt it to kind of each person's like shape and size and like technique too, which is
Yeah.
good. But yeah. That's super cool. So, I guess moving from outside of that, like what made you kind of spark the whole like content creation? Like now you're kind of like you've got this page and you're like doing videos and you're kind of documenting your journey.
Mhm.
How do you like
Yeah.
what sparked that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, like in general, I've always liked making videos. Like even as a kid, we'd have these flip cams and I just liked making content. Um, but so I've always just had to do that, like just for fun. But specifically for jujitsu, I was like, look, like I can reach more people faster doing it this way. And at first, it's always a slow process, but
Yeah.
um, I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is my passion. And so I should be able to try to share my passion, and whoever follows, follows, and whoever doesn't, doesn't. But um, I see the value in it, and I make videos to help someone else out. That's what I want, right? One thing that I have been thinking about is how do I get people, specifically women, new women to jujitsu who don't do jujitsu.
Yeah.
Sometimes social media can be like a echo chamber, and it's like, great, now I have a bunch of guys who love jujitsu following me, and it's like, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Not necessarily what I was going for, but if I say something about jujitsu, I know that they're gonna have my back. They're gonna be like cheering me on or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think just reaching new people has been the theme for what I have going on now. And so I'm trying to think about, okay, how can I bring new women into jujitsu? And usually it does start with just kind of like watching stuff, online. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been scrolling and then I'm just in a rabbit hole of something super, super niche. And I'm like, yo, cave diving, like, what? Why did he go to this specific cave when everyone knows the one on the other side of the world is the best? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's you find all that information out in an hour. But that's how I'm kind of thinking about it, right? Uh, so yeah, that's for the content creation, just trying to bring new people and just sharing my journey. Because I think we don't do that enough, but it's definitely a way to form community. And so just trying to bring more community um together, really.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I feel the same way because there's so many women's voices are like doing awesome things like what you're doing and just giving voice to the females so that there's like, oh, there is more of us that are doing this. And I know
Yeah.
here in the Maritimes, we have an organization called Women That Fight, WTF. And, quarterly we have a different club will host, and then all the women like in the area and abroad come and for the event, and there'll be someone, kind of running the seminar, and then there's prizes from different things, and then we usually there's like a social afterwards, and that really kind of like keeps kind of like the women, especially if you're at a club where there's like one or two of you, and then you get
Yeah.
to come to this event where there's like 20 women and get to like
Mhm.
roll with them and tips and tricks and stuff. So it's like really cool to see different areas doing different things, like your we lab. That's amazing. Yeah.
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 Thank you. Appreciate
Now,
it. Yeah.
do you find with the social media like it's hard to like come up with ideas, or do you have like a strict schedule, or you kind of just like throw stuff at the wall, like, and let if it sparks interest, I'm like, yeah, I'll pull that and do that.
Yeah. Good question. Um, sometimes like I try not to be super strict on myself with that stuff because then that's when I find that the creativity and then the drive for it just kind of fades when I'm
Yeah.
super strict about it. Although I will say like there are times where I'm like, no, like this is my focus. I'm going to be more intentful with this.
Okay.
For a little bit there, I would just take my camera with me everywhere I went, and I didn't know what I was even gonna say before I just I press record and I was just kind of would wait there for a little bit. So I have tons of videos of me just kind of like looking dumb, just being like, hmm. But I will say like, just start doing it. That's the hardest part is just starting doing it. But
Yeah.
then once you do it, then you kind of like go, okay, like I got the hang of it. Then you're just kind of putting out whatever you want, right? Um, mm, yeah, when like the past couple of weeks, I've just been kind of busy. I haven't been posting as much. And so I didn't like that. I was trying to do like a post a day at least for a while, especially right now I'm still pretty small. I have like 500-ish people following me on Instagram. So during that time it can feel really slow, but I want to produce things that are like authentic to myself, not just
Mm.
like random things. And then s- usually most of the time I say of value, right? So sometimes it can be like funny, like a meme or something like that. But I just want to produce like things that I think are real to me, which can be hard. It can be really hard, trying to figure out like an authentic version of you to put out and have people perceive, and then have something of value too, right? Those are two of the biggest things that I've been trying to focus on when producing content. I just started playing with making long form content, so like YouTube videos.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm playing with that like right now. I was at we had a seminar at my gym 2 weeks ago. We had Giancarlo Bodoni from Kingsway come, and so I filmed that, and I want to try to put out like 15-ish minutes, which is way different than making like a 30-second or 60-second reel on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
Um, so just doing things like that and try not to worry so much about like the metrics of it all and just focus on like, bro, just fall in love with the process and just keep putting it out there. Eventually your people will find you. So,
Absolutely. No, I
yeah.
think that's awesome. It's the best way to do it, Chris. Everyone else sitting on the sidelines, right? The coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and you're doing it. And then wherever, I think it's cool because I'm like that too. I have like a million things. I love crafting. I love baking. I love doing this and connecting and jujitsu and working in nonprofit. So I'm torn every which way. So I'm just like, oh, this way I'm doing this now. I'm gonna bake a bunch of stuff for Halloween, or okay, I'm gonna have an interview with someone really cool, and like just so it's you've got to follow where like you feel like the passion, especially in your journey with jujitsu. So right now it's like the ecological stuff and like building up these labs, which I think is super awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate chatting with you, and I'm super excited to kind of see what more you produce and following you. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had so much fun. I had so much fun talking to you. You're my
Good,
girl,
yay!
you know what I mean?
I love it. Now I have another place I'm gonna have to travel to.
Yes, yes. Come out. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. You can do
Fantastic.
some games finally.
Yes, I'm super pumped about that because I just like it's still so like new and like there's just like kind of I don't know like the gi versus no gi. I don't know if that's a thing like this like constant debate of what's better and now I'm hearing this
Yeah.
like the ecological like debate of what's better. So because it's kind of like what's your background, what traditionally, what do your coaches, what's your club, like all of those culture things. So it's kind of cool when new stuff comes in and you kind of see okay. As people take these new concepts on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'll have to put that in my bucket list of travels to come up there and visit you.
Yeah, girl. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I thank you again so much and look forward to watching your journey.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. And there we go.